What is the greatest comeback to an insult you've ever heard? Joe Pine interviewing Frank Zappa. Joe: I guess your long hair makes you a woman. FZ: I guess your wooden leg makes you a table. During WW1, Switzerland had a tiny standing army. But they were very skilled marksmen. Wilhelm II of Germany asked what 250k Swiss troops would do if he decided to invade with 500k German troops. The Swiss said, "Shoot twice and go home." 18th-century British radical politician John Wilkes was told in Parliament by a political opponent, "Sir, I do not know whether you will die on the gallows or of the pox." Wilkes shot back with, "That depends, my lord, on whether I embrace your lordship's principles or your mistress." My grandparents used to bicker. My grandmother generally came out on top, as she was fierier. One time though, she was asking him to do a bunch of stuff. And he muttered, "If you'd lose some weight, you could do it yourself." She fixed her gaze on him and glowered, "I'm thinking of getting rid of about 200 pounds of useless fat immediately." He replied, "You're going to cut off your foot?" Someone yelled out in a Walmart, "I'm not ashamed of who I am." Another voice echoed back, "That's your parents' job." Saw a clip of a stand-up comedian the other day. And he says something along the lines of, "The first time I had sex it was terrible. The first time I had sex." And a woman chimes in with, "You mean yesterday?" Crowd laughs for a while. And while the comedian is waiting for them to calm down, you can see the gears turn in his head. Once it gets down to basically a few chuckles, he just says, "Glad you remember," and the crowd just lost their shit. It was amazing. I used to work with this like 70-year-old woman. She was our supervisor. And one day one of the ladies who worked with us told this old lady to "kiss my ass." And the old lady replied, "Where do I start? You're so fat your crack goes all the way up your back." I asked my mother why she always wears makeup despite being in her 40s. She told me she wears makeup so she doesn't look like me. Edit. I was 9. A guy makes fun of his bald friend by rubbing his head and saying, "Wow, your head is as smooth as my wife's bottom." The friend also rubs his head and says, "Wow, you're right." Quiet guy in my art class got called queer bait. He replied with, "If I'm the bait, then you're the catch of the day." One of my coworkers was cold calling customers, trying to get appointments to drum up business. One of them told him to go fuck his hand, and he responded with, "I've got that penciled in for 3. I should be done by 4 if you'd like to come in for an appointment then." The guy laughed his ass off and ended up coming in for the appointment. Winston Churchill. Of course. Lady Nancy Astor. Winston: "If you were my husband, I'd poison your tea." Churchill: "Nancy, if I were your husband, I'd drink it." I was the one insulted, but not the one with the comeback. I was out with a coworker and her friends and my buddy and I were leaving a little too early for her sensibilities. She jokingly got up in my face and said, "Smell that? Smells like pussy." A guy playing at the pool table next to us stepped forward and said, "I'm sorry. That must be me. I just ate. It was amazing." You sure do talk a lot for never saying anything. Not heard. But read. Easily the Spartans reply to Philip II of Macedon. As Philip II of Macedon was conquering Greek city-states left and right, Sparta was left alone. Philip had achieved a crushing victory. And Sparta was relatively weak and without walls. Philip sent a message to the Spartans saying, "If I invade Laconia you will be destroyed, never to rise again." The Spartans replied with one word: "If." My grandma asked my cousin, who'd had lots of partners and 2 kids at this point, if she was ever going to get married. Cousin: "It's not the same nowadays. We don't buy cars without test driving them first." Grandma: "Yeah, but they don't let you put 100,000 miles on them either." Point goes to Granny. I've been called worse things by better people. A friend of mine was getting bitched at by these 2 identical twin girls in a class one had once. He replied with a troubling look on his face and said, "If you 2 are identical, how come only one of you are hot?" That dude played the long game as those 2 girls looked rather perplexed for the rest of the session. Fixed. In high school, we congregated in our cliques around the benches. One friend is cracking his knuckles and did this fairly often. Another friend saw this and remarked, "You pop your hands a lot. You must jerk off a lot." The friend that popped his hands immediately looks at him and calmly says, "You pop your jaw a lot. You must suck dick a lot." Weirdly enough, no one laughed. We just all shrugged and took it as a logical explanation. It's been over 20 years and I still think about the logic. Edit. Wow, look at those numbers. Thanks internet fam. As for the informative comments about changing clicks to clicks for the sake of the story, I think I'll leave it as is. In middle school, a boy asked when I was going to grow some boobs. So I asked him when he was donating his. I'm still really proud of that one. Edit. I didn't expect this to blow up. But I remember this clearly. He was walking out of English, I was walking in. We met at the doorway and were chest to chest. And he looks me in the eye and says, "Grow some tits." Without missing a beat I reply dead-faced, "Donate yours." Then proceed to proudly walk to my desk with a big smile. Also, I did eventually grow some boobs. They are small but they are nice. Context. John Oliver from HBO interviews Stephen Hawking, may he rest in peace. Joe. And there may be a universe where I am more intelligent than you. Shish. There may even be a universe where you are funny. Anything I've thought of more than an hour after the insult. The greatest comeback I witnessed was when Kumail Nanjiani was on mean tweets and someone asked, "Is your dick multiple colors?" And he said, "Yes. Every shade of your mom's lipstick." What are you looking at? I'm still trying to find out. On a construction site one afternoon. Different trades were working in the same area. Like silly team sports. The Sparkies always hang with the Sparkies and the Turd Wranglers always hang with the Turd Wranglers, and anytime they're together it turns into a pointless dick measuring contest, usually not literally. One particularly childish exchange saw two men chopping back and forth, "My dick biggest." Blah blah blah. Finally one of them spits out this classic, "I've got girth like a can of corn." And the clap back was unforgettable. "But you've got length like a can of tuna." Everyone busted up. Mr. Girth tried to hide his embarrassment. But was tied up. No comeback. And a room of men laughing uncontrollably. Good times. A friend in high school on our way to a track meet. He was staring at a car in the parking that was really nice. When this D-bag saw him. D-bag. Why bothering looking at that when you know you'll never be able to get one? My friend. The same reason you watch porn. The entire bus erupted and it's still one of the funniest things I've ever heard. It was an exchange between two coworkers a few years back. Basically a slut-shaming gone wrong. Person A had only ever slept with one person. Their previous boyfriend that they were still obsessed with. Person B was the opposite and would bang a different person every week. Person A. I can't believe how many people you've slept with. I don't understand how people can have sex with someone they aren't in love with. Person B. Well, your ex-boyfriend seemed to manage it okay. Person A. Silence as he dies inside. Edit. Yes guys, he had an ex-boyfriend. Person A was a gay man. It's not a typo. It's 2020. My grandma got into a fight at the grocery store with a guy who told my 9-year-old brother to move the fuck out of the way. They were going at it and his final words were, "Suck my dick." Bitch. She said across the store, if I could find it. Bitch. Edit. Not Walmart. Even better, Aldi. The classic. You're adopted. At least my parents chose to have me. Glenn McGrath, Aussie cricketer, got frustrated with Ed O'Brandis as his every attempt to stump Brandis failed. This is what happened next. McGrath. Why are you so fat? Brandis. Because every time I fuck your wife, she gives me a biscuit. Easy. Now. Don't let your brains go to your head. David Letterman. I'm not as dumb as I look. Tina Fey. How could you be? I expected a better insult from someone of your upbringing and education. If you weren't so stupid, what would you be? Asks the husband. The wife replies. Without even skipping a beat. Single. Come on. Stop telling me how to live my life. I don't tell you how to live your life. It's not like I come down to the docks at night. Knocking the sailors' cocks out of your mouth. Me. We should learn from our mistakes. My friend. So that's why you have a younger sister. Definitely a great comeback. But not to an insult. More to an annoyance. I was a camp counselor for a few years at a summer camp. One day my group took a hike to a large rock where we had lunch. My campers were between 8 and 10 years old. This one kid we'll call Jeff keeps poking another kid we'll call Matt in my group to look at this hole in the rock. It's so cool. It's like 6 inches deep and the other kid is clearly getting annoyed just trying to eat his lunch. He keeps shoving sticks into the hole and trying to get everybody to look at it. Finally Matt just puts down his sandwich, looks at Jeff, and goes, "I'll be 6 inches deep in your mom later if you don't shut up." I was trying so hard to be stern with this kid for saying something so inappropriate, but I kept cracking up. It was just such a disproportionately ridiculous thing to say coming from a 9-year-old. Gandhi after a reporter asked him a question. Reporter: "What do you think of Western civilization?" Gandhi: "I think it would be a good idea." Was out with a friend who was wearing a silly outfit. Someone came up and said, "Why are you wearing that? It's not Halloween." He replied with, "Then why don't you take off that hideous mask?" I can't remember the best one I've heard. But I can remember the best comeback I ever did. It is also, in fact, the only good comeback I ever did. I was in 7th grade. And we were in the locker room after gym. People were discussing shoe sizes because this one kid had enormous feet. I don't know if I have small feet. But mine were the smallest. They said, "Small feet. You know what that means." I didn't mind too much. But one kid crossed the line. He said, "Don't worry, fella. There's like 10 different ways to make it bigger." So I said, "Have you tried all 10? Not very impressive. But it shut him up. I work at a hotel. A few years ago this guest got into a spat with our security officer over something. But she wasn't getting whatever she wanted, so she told him he was full of S_. Our security officer replied immediately, "No, I'm not. I took care of that this morning. But thank you for your concern for my good health and regularity." At this time I was about to bust up laughing, so I had to excuse myself to the back office. And as I was leaving I heard him continuing on with this lady. Deadpan. "But I promise I eat a healthy diet full of fiber. It warms my heart to know you're concerned with me having regular bowel movements. So the next time I'm constipated I know you're thinking of me." It continued on. And all the more he's playing this deadpan and it's making the lady madder and madder. And I'm in the back laughing so hard I'm nearly crying. After that spiel was over though, she didn't give us any more problems the rest of the night. I was bullshitting with a couple of buddies. And may have suggested that I banged one of their moms. To which said friend replied, "My mom's dead." My mouth bypassed my brain and replied, "That explains the dirt." How appropriate. You fight like a cow. Edit. Thank you for the gold. Overheard by me. The school bus driver. One 5th grade student was belittling a 1st grader. When it was time for a comeback, 1st grader shouts out, "Congratulations." The bewildered 5th grader had nothing to say and went to sit down with her friends in the back of the bus. A dude in my class called out a semi-friend of mine. That people are talking behind his back. In fact, that wasn't the case, as far as I know. And that guy said, "Well, you know what to say about you." Nothing. Nobody fucking cares. I don't care that you broke your elbow. Many years ago, when we were about 18, a friend of mine was arguing with another person we knew. This person was trying to be a badass and intimidate my buddy. He says me feet are registered. Without missing a beat my friend replies, "Where? Health and sanitation? 40 years later I still crack up at this when it comes to mine. Chelsea handler told Russell Brand, "The way you are looking at me makes me wants to cover my vagina." He replied, "Ma'am, if I had a rubber glove, I'd do it for you." Crowd burst into laughter and she even acknowledged that was good. On an Indian roast show. There were 2 bald twin brothers and the roaster told them, "You two confuse me on a biological level. You two look like testicles but you are both assholes. I am still waiting for an opportunity to use that." Son. Dad, you don't know how to make a joke. Dad. I made you. It's gotta be the aliens locker room scene for me. Hudson. Hey Vasquez. Have you ever been mistaken for a man? Vasquez. No. Have you? Edit. Brain derped with the film title. I have a bunch, but one of the more memorable ones was back in 8th grade. For context, I didn't make the basketball team 7th grade. But I made the team in 8th grade. This kid that was on the team the previous year but didn't make it currently was really upset and telling me how bad I am and blah blah blah. I told him that if he is better than me then why didn't he make the team? And he replied with, "It's just 'cause of my grades, bro." So I replied with, "Oh, so you're just fucking stupid then?" He gave up 'cause it was either accept that he was bad or accept he was an idiot. So English class in middle school. Kid A: "Yo. Kid B. Your mama waited on me at McDonald's last night. Must feel like shit having a mom that works at McDonald's." Kid B: "At least my mom gets out of bed to go to work." English teacher far louder than he realized. Damn. The rest of us were laughing so hard. The teacher next door popped her head in to see what was going on. I was 14 or 15 and had a quiet nerdy friend with really bad acne. My older brother had these 3 friends. All brothers 2, 3, and 4 years older than me and my friend. They were all gangsta, and started their own gang, which I always thought was really funny. Me and my friend walked in the front door. My brother and his friends were all sitting at the TV playing Halo. One of the brothers looked at my friend and said, "Holy shit, Sam. I got 2 words for you, ACNEE pad." Sam replied, "Cool, and I got 2 words for you, Johnny." Speech therapy. The guy had a pretty bad stutter. He jumped right up and started trying to fight my friend. As long as I could remember after that, he wanted to fight Sam. But we just ignored them. I dunno why this stuck with me for so long. It was such perfect delivery and shut down of a bully. Edit. Unrelated, but another funny story about these 3 brothers. They were walking through my backyard after playing basketball. Mid-afternoon. I hear Johnny screaming, "Oh fuck, run," and the oldest brother, who was about 5 feet 1, comes running up my driveway wearing his oversized jean shorts and Jordan jersey. He was trying to get away from a bat that had bitten him several times in the face and head. He wound up getting 16 or some high number of shots in his stomach because the bat probably had rabies. Odd bunch of guys who tried way too hard to live the G life. But weren't any good at it. When I was in high school, I had an ancient history class with a teacher named Mr. O'Neill. He was a really educated and well-spoken, but quiet, younger guy. A bit chubby with curly blonde hair. And liked wearing bow ties. In this same class was this kid named Jake, who was one of those kids that always acted like a smartass to every teacher in order to try and get a laugh. He was so annoying he actually had a stapler thrown at his direction by another teacher. Which is a whole other story I told the other day. Anyway, I remember one day Mr. O'Neill was having trouble reaching the string to pull down the screen for the projector. He would make little jumps and swat at the string, but just barely couldn't get it. Jake noticed and saw an opportunity, so he yelled out, "What's the matter, Mr. O'Neill? Can't reach?" Him and his buddies chuckled to themselves like a bunch of goons in the corner. Mr. O'Neill replied, "No, Jake. I'm just getting my morning exercise." And then he started touching his toes. It wasn't the most clever comeback. But coming from a guy like Mr. O'Neill, it was pretty hilarious. More importantly, it shut Jake up and a majority of the class started laughing at him. Mr. O'Neill became a bit of a hero for being the guy to shut down one of the annoying smart-ass kids that would always disrupt class. I was 13 years old, carrying a bunch of books for the teacher. Some joker thought it was funny to pretend to fall right in front of me. And NBSP. I told him, "Don't fall for me, man." And NBSP. My whole book-carrying crew and his prank crew all started bursting into laughter. I didn't register what had happened until much later. So there was 2 girls fighting, and one of them looks at my sister, who was minding her own business, and says, "You go to hell too." My sister: "Do you want me to say anything to your mom?" Dude bragging: "I got a big dick." Friend: "What happened? Someone break one off in your ass?" This happened about 5 years ago now. There was this one annoying kid in my math class in high school. Being loud. Ignoring the teacher. He was mixed race. Only bringing this up because it's related. He's talking rather loudly with a guy next to him. Teacher tells him, "Shut the hell up." Kid makes a point that he's half black and being mean to him is racist, some stupid shit like that. Teacher looks him dead in the eyes and says, "I was talking to your white half." Stupid. Hands down my favorite teacher. My best friend. After an argument with some kid from our school in a shop, we began walking away down the street. Kid: "Where you going, pussy?" Friend: "Your mom's house." Kid: "My mom lives the other way, idiot." Friend: "Nah, I meant your real mom." May you live in interesting times. Didn't get this one till COVID happened. This short guy at a bar was talking shit to my friend and he said, "I'm going to be the bigger man and walk away." To which my friend replied, "You will never be the bigger man." Ya know those people who tell you to be yourself? Don't listen to them. He's come up with more creative insults. But this is the most memorable. 1. Back in the day. Being openly gay could be downright dangerous. But George didn't really gaff. Someone called him a queen and he responded, "I'll have you know, my mother is still alive. Which makes me a princess." 2. Once worked W.A. Karen, who was actually named Karen. In addition to being a BTCH on wheels. She was also next level morbidly obese. One day, I was on the phone with one of our clients who, in the course of the conversation, complained about her to me. I took the complaint to our team lead. She said, "Yeah, I get a lot of complaints about her. But she says the clients don't like her because she's heavy." Before I could stop myself, I shot back with, "But Joe, if I were blind I'd still think she's a BTCH. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.